Chat with Em and Jenny.
Welcome back to Sports Chat. As we always know, when you hear that song, you know we're halfway through the show. We just started to talk about it to lead in before the break. The Avon Descent, it's an iconic WA sporting event. It was established in 1973. It's a two-day event. It begins in Northam. Different types of paddlecraft and powercraft. Look, they descend to the finish at Riverside Gardens in Bayswater. It's 124 kilometres. It includes flat water, whitewater sections. It really tests the skill level. And from what I'm hearing, anyone who has paddled the Avon Descent has probably been influenced in one way or another by the legendary competitor Terry Boland. And we are lucky enough to have Terry joining us on Sports Chat tonight. Welcome to the show, Terry.
Good evening, Jenny.
Look, it's great to have you on. For this show, we have a 1 hour show once a week, and we tend to really like to stalk the people we've decided to interview. And so
Research, I believe is the word.
Research is a much better word. You're right, Em. It's a much better word. And you've completed 26 Avons. I think it's better to sum you up as an adventurer from all the stuff that I've been researching into you, because I hear you've created your own personal versions of the event, which actually made it tougher, including you've run up to Northam and then joined to the start of the paddle down. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was when I was a bit crazy. When I was, getting ready for some of my big expeditions, which sometimes a little bit longer than the Avon Descent, I thought, because you've got to really push yourself. So, and the Avon Descent is really good fun, but sometimes it's not easy.
Mm.
So a few years, I run up to the Avon Descent, then got there, and the next day, competed in the Avon Descent. Then another time when the water was high, I paddled from Bayswater up the river to the start, then paddled back down. And then another time I've paddled from the upper reaches where there was enough water to put the boat in, and then paddle down to the start of the Avon Descent, and then paddled the event. And instead of stopping at Bayswater, I paddled to Fremantle.
Wow.
Yeah.
You like to challenge yourself. So for you, the Avon, when you talk about some of your epic sort of adventures, I suppose, the Avon's almost formed a practice run or a part of your preparation for bigger and better things, has it?
It has. I mean, I did my first Avon Descent in 1978, so it's been a little while, but in between doing 26 Avons, I've been up north 5 times at the same time as the Avon Descent's on, because it's the best weather.
Yep.
Around the Kimberley, and for 100 days, mainly 3-month expeditions.
Yep.
And I've been to America. And done expeditions there. I did one around Australia, canoeing, cycling, and running. That took a year, so I missed the Avon Descent that year. So then I did the same in America.
So pretty fit, I would say.
So I've missed a few Avon Descents, about 12, because I've done 12 quite big expeditions at the same time the Avon Descent was on. But every time I'm home, well, then I just do the Avon Descent because it's such a good race.
Yep.
And you get a lot out of it because you get to know a lot of people, and it can be, although you can be competitive, it can be very social.
Yeah, definitely.
And your support crew enjoy it as well. So it's been I suppose the backbone for me to do other things that are probably bigger and harder to do, because when you're going around Australia 24,000 kilometres, and you're either paddling, walking or cycling every day, you just can't give up. You know what I mean? You've got to keep going.
I'm walking to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
You've inspired me. I was going to take you back to these expeditions you did through the Kimberley coast. You wrote a little note to me, which on the back end of it said that you were being chased by sharks and crocs.
Oh, my goodness.
Some close calls involved in these expeditions?
Oh, yeah. I mean, with the Kimberley, as we all know, you've got crocs there, you've got sharks there, so it's part of the expedition. You've got high tides, 10-metre tides, which is the second highest in the world, so it creates whirlpools and big rapids. So it's a real challenge, and when I did my first 100-day solo one in 82, it was probably similar to, somebody from the old days doing the first expedition around Greenland or somewhere. Because, I didn't know, you couldn't find too much information back then about the coastline. So you got the maps, but where to land, what to expect, because not a lot of people actually, was around the Kimberley at that time. I mean, nowadays you've got cruise ships and helicopters and everything, but back in the 80s, you're on your own once you start paddling.
Yeah, right. And are these expeditions you've been doing, are these solo things you do, or do you take a crew with you, or at least one other person? How have you been going through these?
Both, really.
Okay.
If nobody wants to come with me, which
then
my
it's solo
first
it
one.
is. Yeah.
I remember the first one I did around the Kimberley, and I did interest a guy from the army, and he was really eager to go, but the army wouldn't let him go because it was too dangerous. And I mean, if you ask somebody now to paddle around the Kimberley, you don't get many people volunteering. And nowadays there's more crocodiles than there were back in the 80s because they've been growing quite a lot. And I mean, the crocs, when I was on one of my trips with another friend, a croc did take hold of the back of his boat twice. And luckily, the croc didn't turn the boat over or turn the kayak over. And a lot of times they just sit at points and you think they're their logs until they start moving towards you. Then you realise that they're crocs coming after you. And then you do a big dash out to sea as fast as you can. But the sharks, they were worse because they would, they're not, I don't think they're as dangerous as a croc, but they used to hit the boats every third or fourth day. They would hit one of the boats if there was somebody with me. Luckily, they hit the other boat more than they did my boat, so that was pretty good.
So now I see why you're trying to get people to go with you.
Well,
you might not get anyone else after this.
No, I remember camping on the beach, and I always try to get, if we're in the same tent, the other side away from the ocean so the crocs get the other person first,
Good thinking.
Well, there's a reason you've managed to survive all of these expeditions, and I read as well that you're an author. You've written 6 adventure books. Has that sort of been your way of documenting the amazing places you've been and the challenges you've set yourself?
Yeah, it's good for memories as well because, every time I go out on the river, there's always something that will take me back to one of the expeditions. One or two of the books were like how to paddle. Another book was, the Avon Descent guidebook, all the rapids and things. And then most of the other books were of the trips I've done. But I've also got a lot of my expeditions on my web page. So anybody can just go to my web page and have a look at some of the expeditions I've done and read all about them.
And that's terryboland.com, is it?
No, if they go to canoeingdownunder.com.au, and they'll find it on there. And there's a few expeditions are not on there because they're in book form.
Yep.
But there's a lot of expeditions there. I just hope that it helps to increase the paddling that people want to do, and to say, well, I've got a kayak. What am I going to do? And instead of just having a 12K race, think about doing a big expedition somewhere.
And just on that, with people possibly wanting to get involved in paddling or the Avon Descent, for what would be the best way for people to go about getting involved?
Well, they can do one or two things. They can join canoe clubs, which, a lot of people like to join a canoe club. They can ring Canoe WA, which is the canoeing body for WA. We also have a Saturday morning training session. That's sort of goes every Saturday morning at 7:15 that people can join in. But they do need to make sure that if it come down to one of those training sessions that they have a boat long enough to do the Avon descent. There's no point in going in the Avon descent with a 3-metre little boat because they'll start but they won't go far because it's not fast enough. But they can also, just send me an email or something and I can send them to the different places because there's canoe clubs all around Perth. And if you live in Fremantle, you've got the Swan Canoe Club. If you're in Riverton, you've got the Canning Canoe Club. If you're where I live, you've got the Ascot Kayak Club. So there's clubs all over the place. And, but if anybody wants to, just give me a call, and I'll put them on to the right people. I know it's difficult sometimes when you're by yourself, to get involved. But that's why we created this Saturday morning, because when I had a canoe store, we used to invite people to the Saturday morning training that were beginners, and they would then join in with all the other people. They would get more enthused, and the other people would also look after them as well and let them go on trips and things like that with them.
Yeah. Well, Terry, I know you would have trained hundreds, if not probably thousands of paddlers in Flatwater and obviously with their whitewater to develop their skills. It's been an absolute joy talking to you, and I think I could probably listen to you for hours as opposed to just the 10 minutes that we had tonight. So thank you for sharing bits and pieces of your life with us tonight. Good luck in whatever this next epic adventure that you plan will be. I hope we get a chance to talk to you again. And as you said, for those that have hopefully been inspired to get into, paddling, kayaking, canoeing, I know there's a great Facebook group called Rather Be Paddling where you can find more groups that are going to be near you and to join up. You can, of course, as you mentioned, you could Google Canoeing WA and or the Avon Descent and get amongst all that information that's out there on the website. Look, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we hope to talk to you again soon.
My pleasure. I've got lots to talk about, so maybe another time.
That'd be great.
Definitely. Okay. We look forward to it.
All the best, Terry.
Thank you.
Yep.
See ya.
Bye.
Oh, how cool was talking to Terry Boland? How's the story? He didn't even go into part of the stuff. One of the things I meant to ask him about actually was he paddles 6,000 kilometres in his 60th year. He set himself a challenge to do that, and that's 16, I think I calculated it out, 16.43 kilometres every day for 365 days. This man is amazing.
He must have
what an incredible human.
The upper body strength of an ox.
And all the people I speak to is just that he obviously gives back to a sport that he's really into because he's trained so many people and they all speak so well about him. That's really exciting. And there's actually an event this Sunday, which is called the Unite on the Swan, and it is a Guinness World Record attempt. So for anyone who's listening who hasn't heard about it and you do have some sort of watercraft, get down this Sunday, 9th of April, 7 till 9 a.m. It's only $10 for adults. Children are $5. It's supporting breast cancer care in WA. It's at East Perth at Claysbrook Cove there, so where that little man-made inlet comes in. It's a fantastic chance to meet some people and potentially get your way into the Avon Descent and then just some more. We've got great waterways here in Perth. It's a fantastic lifestyle. And so once again, Unite on the Swan this Sunday, and obviously Avon Descent in the 5th and 6th of August 2017. It's 44 years young. It's established in 1973. And when you talk to someone like Terry, I think it's something that I'm going to have to achieve at some point in my life.
Yeah, I can't believe it. So he said that he paddled for 100 days straight.
Yep. Yeah.
I just can't get my head around that. Does he just stop in at night and he just camps on the beach somewhere and then takes off again in the morning?
Completely self-sufficient. He paddled the entire length of the Mississippi River. That's 4,000 kilometres.
Oh my goodness.
The entire length of the Yukon River. That's 3,300. Missouri River 4,000. He only touched. I mean, he said I was out for a year. 24,000 kilometres around Australia. He paddled, cycled, and walked. 24,000 kilometres. Oh yeah, it took me a year.
Yeah.
He just brushed past that. Just brushed it. He did 16,000 kilometres around USA. This man's amazing. I think he could have entirely his own show.
Yeah. And just hearing about the dangers, the crocodiles and the sharks, and it's just like,
just paddle out to sea faster.
Yeah,
no worries, Terry. But for those that want to get involved in the sport and want to learn some more, he is obviously the man to tap into. He's got to be. He's the guru. He's the. Yeah. So, as I said, big, obviously iconic event for WA is Avon Descent, 5th and 6th of August this year. Starts at Northern, finishes at Bayswater. For those that, can't do the whole thing, get down to Bayswater for when it finishes on the 6th and cheer them on in, because it sounds like a fantastic event.
And this event, Unite on the Swan, the Guinness World Record attempt, can you give us a little rundown about what they're actually doing? Okay,
so from what I know is that basically it's called a raft up. So you used to do these at school camps way back in the day. So you'd go out into the middle of the river. You can't be touching anything on the sides. So if someone starts it and the next boat comes along and connects to them, and another one either side of that, and it just keeps going out and out and out and out and out to try and get the most people to get this Guinness World Record. The whole raft, so the entire group of people that they get there on Sunday morning, has to free float for 30 seconds. So that means whoever's on the outermost sections, they can't be sneaky and be holding onto the edge or onto a wharf or anything man-made. Everyone's got to be free floating. They can't anchor onto a platform or anything like that. And if they can achieve that, Guinness World Record. I think there's a drone that's going around counting it all and all this sort of stuff. So it's all going to be videoed. And
you'd want to be one of the outside people. Otherwise, if you were the very first one in the middle, you'd be there for a while.
For a long time. In fact, on the website, it does actually say under preparation, it's like, sort out going to the toilet, make sure you've got food, snacks, plenty of water, so that there's two people who are designated as going out first, and then everyone rafts up to them. So
the more experienced
for those that have the chance to get out there and sort out a world record for Perth.
And Terry, I was just reading here, Terry's advice to all paddlers is that they should do the Avon Descent at least once, racing or paddling or more social. Sounds like a great event.
Yeah, it does. And just from the idea of, just to finish it and to be part of it, it's iconic and it sounds like it's such a social time. I've watched them come down through, Bells Rapids, and it was so much fun watching that. I would need some severe training, but it is something that I'd like to do. So, you've obviously got avondescent.com.au. For those looking for Canoeing WA, it's paddlewa.asn.au, and of course the Facebook's page, Rather Be Paddling, and you can obviously get a hold of Terry through his Canoeing Down Under site, which has all sorts of awesome information. And for those interested in this Guinness World Record, uniteontheswan.org.au.
And just to recap in a snapshot of the Avon Descent, so the distance is 124 kilometres, 5th and 6th of August, start location is Northern, finish location Riverside Gardens in Bayswater, and it can be power dinghy races, paddlecrafts. Competing
solo. There's doubles, there's teams of 2 up to 4, so that's where 4 people are sitting vertically. And this year, for the first time, they're allowing stand-up boards, so there's a sup division in there.
You'd think you'd be a little bit less, what's the word?
Protected?
Yeah, I suppose so.
I don't know. Yeah.
Is it a race?
It is. So the power dinghies, they go off earliest, I think, and then they actually come off the Sunday morning where everyone leaves on the Sunday morning. They actually start after everyone else because obviously paddling is slower because you're going under your own steam, and then they race past everyone and they finish first. But obviously that's a huge part of the way they do it, and that's why everyone that's a paddler is watching the rain and hoping for rain. They're all the people through winter, whereas the rest of us are moping around going, I hope it comes. I wish the sun was out. They're looking at the skies going, yes, more, because it brings the river up and it brings the rapids into it and all that sort of stuff. And the other part of it is if there's any low points, you got to carry your boat. So you want the river to be up.
Okay.
So they're the people walking around with a smile on their face in the rain. They're paddlers.
I was just thinking the SUPs, the stand-up paddleboards, would be at a bit of a disadvantage, you would think. Take a bit longer than a canoe and a dinghy.
So. Yeah,
I can't even balance on one of those things.
Well, they must have interest to add that as a division. They must have enough interest of people that are like, we want to do this. So that's exciting. They're changing with the generational change. Yeah. Supping is a very popular thing at the moment.
Stand-up paddleboarding
going
for
down
124
rapids.
kilometres.
Going down rapids, standing up.
Is that a bit dangerous?
Nah, not for them.
Yeah, well, sounds very exciting. So we'll have to keep following, see how Terry goes, and, check in and see if they get the Guinness World Record.
Definitely. Look at how that went on Sunday.
Yes. All right.